All right, today we're going to peel back the layers of Hollywood movie magic to uncover the real story behind two legendary dinosaurs. We're going on a journey from prehistoric fiction to cold, hard paleontological fact.
Oh yeah, you definitely know these two. The towering, scaly Velociraptor and the noble, battle-ready Triceratops. They're total icons, right? Cemented in our minds as these ultimate prehistoric rivals. And we can pretty much thank one giant blockbuster film series for that.
Well, what if I told you that almost everything you think you know about these two is just plain wrong? Yeah, the creatures we've all watched with a mix of awe and terror, they're basically cinematic inventions, a whole world away from the animals that actually walked the earth.
The image we have of these dinosaurs was pretty much set in stone back in 1993 with the release of Jurassic Park. I mean, that film created the specific terrifying version of the Velociraptor and Triceratops that has completely dominated pop culture ever since.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to separate the science from the spectacle. Let's look at the hard evidence, the actual fossils that paleontologists have dug up to reveal the true nature of these incredible creatures.
Okay, first up, the raptor, the clever girl. In the movies, it's this terrifying, human-sized, hyper-intelligent pack hunter. But oh man, the fossil evidence? It paints a very, very different picture. Let's break this myth down.
Okay, just look at this comparison for a second. The difference is absolutely dramatic. The movie version is this 6-foot-tall, scaly monster. The reality, a small, feathered animal that, get this, likely hunted alone. That whole idea of them being coordinated pack hunters like wolves, there's just no evidence for it.
To put that half-a-meter height into perspective, a real velociraptor stood about as tall as a large turkey, or maybe a coyote. It was a seriously lightweight predator, weighing maybe 33 pounds soaking wet. So yeah, not exactly the giant monster we saw stalking kids in that kitchen scene, was it? And the feathers? Oh yeah, they absolutely had feathers. That's not even a debate anymore. A fossil discovered back in 2007 showed clear imprints of quill knobs right on a velociraptor's forearm. Now these feathers weren't for flight. Nope, they served other crucial purposes. Keeping warm, maybe shielding eggs in a nest, and, you guessed it, for showing off during mating displays, just like birds do today.
So what about that famous, terrifying sickle claw? According to the experts, it wasn't for disemboweling big animals. As this quote here shows so well, it was more like the talon of an eagle, a tool for stabbing and restraining smaller animals, pinning them down while the velociraptor went to work with its teeth.
So where did the movie monster even come from? Well, this is the best part. It's basically a case of mistaken identity. The author of the Jurassic Park novel, Michael Crichton, actually based his velociraptors on this much larger relative, Deinonychus. That dinosaur had the right height and fearsome profile for a movie monster. So why the switch? Apparently, the name Velociraptor just sounded cooler. Okay, let's switch gears. Now for our next case, the magnificent Triceratops. In films, it's almost always shown as the arch-nemesis of the T-Rex, with its horns and frill acting as the ultimate defensive weapons. It's the classic matchup we all love to imagine, isn't it? The unstoppable force meeting the immovable object. But was that impressive headgear really designed for dueling with the king of the dinosaurs?
Well, the fossil record has a story to tell, and after looking very closely at Triceratops' skulls for clues, paleontologists have found that the horns and that massive frill were likely primarily for show. Sure, they could certainly be used for defense in a pinch, but their main function was probably for attracting mates and establishing social rank, kind of like the antlers of a modern deer.
And this is pretty compelling evidence. When scientists examine Triceratops' skulls, they do find some bite marks from predators. But what they find very little of are the kinds of puncture wounds or scrape marks that would come from sparring with another Triceratops. The physical evidence for routine combat just isn't there. Now this is where it gets really, really cool. We know of two distinct species, and by studying the rock layers they were found in, paleontologists can actually see a direct evolutionary line, with the later Triceratops porcessus evolving from the earlier Triceratops horridus. It's like watching evolution happen in real time through the fossil record, an incredibly rare and clear snapshot of change. So, this brings us to the crucial point. Why is there such a huge gap between the movies and the real science? Well, it all comes down to a simple choice between what's accurate and what makes for a thrilling movie monster. This quote from Professor John O'Maliaka really hits the nail on the head. Hollywood needs monsters, and let's be honest, scaly reptilian skin is just seen as scarier and more monstrous than a coat of feathers. Spectacle wins out over science.
But here's the most important takeaway. The real animals, the turkey-sized feathered predator and the three-horned herbivore with its elaborate display are, you could argue, far more fascinating than their movie counterparts. They reveal a complex, nuanced, and truly alien prehistoric world that science is still piecing together.
And that leaves us with a final thought. One paleontologist noted that a feathered raptor might actually be creepier because it's something we recognize like a bird, but just a bit wrong. So I'll leave you with this. What truly captures the imagination more? The familiar movie monster or the bizarre feathered reality we're just beginning to understand?